A few days later, Chief traveled out of town for a business trip. Sandra knew this was her chance. Her heart pounding, she ventured once more to the far, forgotten edge of the estate, the place that had haunted her thoughts for days. The strange structure stood silent and still, as if waiting for her return. She walked up to it and knocked again, no response. Determined, she began searching the area around it. As she stepped through the overgrown grass and dry leaves, something hard struck her foot. She winced and looked down. It was an old, rusted piece of iron. She bent to toss it aside, then froze. It wasn't just any piece of metal. It was a key, large, ancient-looking, and partially buried. Her hands trembled as she brushed away the dirt and leaves around the structure. She noticed a rusty padlock on a hidden hatch, almost invisible under the covering. Without hesitation, she grabbed a large stone from the ground, raised it high, and smashed it down on the keyhole. Once, the lock cracked loudly and snapped open. She yanked the hatch upward. A rush of cold air escaped from the darkness beneath. Sandra's eyes widened. Inside, bound and gagged, were several young girls. Their faces were pale and frightened. Some were too weak to react. Others stared up at her with wide, pleading eyes. Fear slammed into her chest like a hammer. Before she could react further, a sudden flash of light swept over her. Then, it was approaching fast, its headlights cutting through the trees. The vehicle stopped abruptly, and the door flew open. Chief stepped out, rage carved into every line of his face. "What are you doing here?" he shouted, storming toward her. Sandra stepped back, panic rising. As he reached for her, she snatched up the same heavy stone and struck him hard on the head. He fell to the ground, blood flowing from the wound. "Get her!" he roared through clenched teeth. His guard sprinted after her, but Sandra had already turned and fled into the thick woods. Branches whipped at her skin, her breath came in sharp bursts, and her heart thundered in her chest. But she didn't stop. She had seen the truth, and now she had to escape it. Sandra ran through the night, her feet bleeding, her breath ragged, fear chasing her like a shadow. By dawn, she reached a small town far from the mansion. Exhausted, hungry, and barely herself, she stumbled into a roadside hotel and paid for a room with shaking hands. Inside, she locked the door, drew the curtains, and collapsed onto the bed. After a hot bath, she sat in silence, wrapped in a towel, staring into space. She wanted to believe it was all a nightmare. But it wasn't. It was real. She curled into herself, trembling. Then the tears came, silent at first, then heavy sobs that shook her body. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know who to trust. Her phone buzzed. It was Abel. "Madam Sandra, are you okay?" he asked, his voice low, almost afraid. She swallowed hard. "Abel, please. Tell me the truth. I need to know. No more lies." He went silent. "You have to report Chief to the police," he finally said. Sandra nodded to herself. "I know. But I need to understand. Who are those girls?" Another pause. Then Abel's voice came, heavy with guilt. "Chief is a human trafficker," he said. "Those girls, they were being moved. Sold." Sandra froze. "What?" she whispered. "Mr. Martins is his partner. There are others too. They operate secretly. At night, the girls are taken from the compound and delivered to buyers. That building you found. It's where he hides them before transport." Sandra was cold. Her heart pounded like a war drum. "You knew." "I knew," Abel admitted. "But I was afraid. Everyone who works for him is scared." At the mansion, Chief was furious. He paced like a beast in a cage. "You call that security?" he roared at his guards. "Simple task. One woman, just one, and you let her escape." The guards stood silent, heads bowed. "Find her," Chief hissed. "I don't care how far she's gone. I want her back. Do you hear me?" They nodded and scattered, while Chief sat heavily on a chair, clutching a blood-stained cloth to his head, seething. Chief had eyes everywhere. It didn't take long for his informants to track Sandra's location. Word reached him quickly. She was hiding in a small roadside hotel just outside the city. He didn't hesitate. "Finish it," he told his men coldly. "No more chances. End it tonight." Two black SUVs rolled silently through the early morning fog, stopping a short distance from the hotel. Three men stepped out, armed and grim. They moved quickly, quietly, bypassing the reception and heading straight for room 9, Sandra's room. The hallway was silent. One of them gave a signal. They burst in. The room was dimly lit, curtains drawn. A figure lay on the bed under the covers, unmoving. One of the men approached cautiously, pulled out his knife, and yanked the duvet away. "Pillows. Just pillows." She was gone. "Damn it!" one of them cursed, kicking the bed in frustration. "She tricked us." They tore through the room, flipping drawers and opening the wardrobe, but it was clear. Sandra had escaped again. They stood in silence, dread creeping over them like a cold shadow. Chief would be furious. They exchanged nervous glances. "What are we going to tell him?" The next morning at the mansion, the atmosphere was heavy, like a storm waiting to break. Chief stormed into the courtyard, his eyes burning with rage. His guards stood in a tense line, heads bowed, their bodies stiff with fear. "You idiots!" Chief bellowed, pacing furiously. "Losers! Useless fools!" He lashed out, slapping one of them across the face. Another got a hard punch to the chest. None dared move. "She knew," Chief growled, pointing a shaking finger at them. "She knew you were coming. Someone warned her." He stared at them one by one, his gaze sharp as knives. "Who is the traitor?" No one spoke. Only trembling hands and nervous gulps. Chief stepped closer, his voice low and deadly. "If I find out anyone is working against me, if I even smell disloyalty, I will bury you alive." Still no one confessed. "Find her," he shouted. "Bring her back, or bring me the head of the traitor." He turned and stormed inside, leaving the guards in silence, bruised, shaken, and terrified. Chief was losing control, and he knew it. Sandra sat hidden in a small abandoned shed deep on the outskirts of the city. The air was damp and still, but her mind raced with noise. Her body trembled from exhaustion, but she couldn't rest. Her heart wouldn't let her. She had married Chief without truly knowing him, swept away by money, luxury, and appearances. Now everything was falling apart around her. Tears welled in her eyes. She pulled her knees close, trying to steady her breathing. Then her phone rang. She flinched, quickly checking the screen. It was Abel. "Hello," she answered, her voice barely above a whisper. "Madam Sandra," came Abel's voice, quiet but urgent. "Are you safe now?" "Yes, I'm okay for now," she said. She wiped her tears, heart heavy with guilt and confusion. "Abel, thank you for telling me the truth. And for asking me to leave the hotel. I didn't know Chief had already sent men for me. If I hadn't listened to you." "You did the right thing," Abel replied. "You must stay hidden. He won't stop looking." They were still discussing her safety and the next steps when suddenly Sandra heard a sharp noise on the other end. "Abel! Abel, what's that?" A shout, followed by a heavy thud. Chief's voice cut through, furious and sharp. "Traitor! Fool!" Sandra gasped. "No. Abel!" The line went dead. She froze, heart pounding, blood rushing in her ears. Abel had been caught. Chief knew. Now more than ever. Sandra understood. She wasn't just running anymore. She was being hunted. Sandra sat in silence, her body trembling, her mind spinning in circles. Fear, confusion, and helplessness clouded her every thought. She didn't know where to go or what to do next. Then she remembered. Alex. With shaky fingers, she scrolled through her contacts and dialed his number. "Hello," his familiar calm voice answered. "It's Sandra," she said quickly, her voice trembling. "You were right. Everything you said. Chief is dangerous. He's a human trafficker. He tried to kill me. Abel has been caught. I don't know what to do." Alex wasn't surprised. I know, he said. I've been watching him for a long time. He gave her an address, safe, secure. Sandra didn't waste time. She packed what little she had and made her way to the hidden location. Alex's men were already there, guarding the place. They were sharp, silent, and ready. Sandra was protected. What she didn't know was that Alex had long wanted to bring Chief down, and now this was the opportunity he had been waiting for. But Chief wasn't finished. Somehow, he discovered Sandra's new location. He sent another team of assassins to finish what he started. They never got the chance. As soon as they arrived, they were surrounded. Alex's men were ready. Guns raised, commands shouted. Hands up! Chief's men were caught, arrested on the spot. That same morning, a full squad moved on Chief's mansion. He was arrested without a fight, angry, defeated, and exposed. Abel, though badly beaten, had survived. He was taken to a hospital and treated. The hidden girls in the underground structure were rescued and reunited with their families. The entire network was brought down. Later, Sandra sat with Alex, still shaken but grateful. Thank you, Alex, for everything, she said. Alex shook his head gently. I was just doing my job. Sandra looked at him curiously. What job? Alex gave a faint smile. I'm a top police officer. We've been investigating Chief for a long time. Your courage helped us finish it. Sandra was stunned. Not just by the truth, but by how close she had been to death, and how one decision had changed everything. Days later, Sandra sat under a tree with Abel. The air calm, the past few weeks behind them like a storm that had finally passed. They didn't speak much, just listened to the wind. Then Sandra said to Abel softly, I believe it doesn't matter what you've done or been through. You can still be a better person. Sandra smiled faintly, her heart still healing but alive and free.